And this is just to save me time because I don't want to relay messages while I'm shuffling. So let's go into the initial messages that I got for you while shuffling first, and then we'll go into this spread, okay? It's the same spread that I've been using in the past. The cards are just all laid out, and I'm using a different deck. That's the only main difference, all right? The first message that I got for you is that there are going to be, for some of you, there are going to be endings to things that have been unstable, erratic, and just emotionally draining. And I feel like overall, it's something that might have happened towards the end, implementing major changes in your life as a result of endings that have occurred. So I feel like this is not, predictive. This is more about what do we do now? Like, which direction are you heading towards? And the first thing that I'm feeling here is I feel like you might have had some financial ties with another person, and it was an ongoing thing that has occurred in the past. And as a result of it, I do feel that you are implementing major changes in order to move forward in a more fruitful manner. What I'm also sensing is financial dealings that have been problematic. You're also going to be able to sever ties and, to get either compensation or to get some type of situation sorted out in order to move on as well. So I see a lot of, endings that have happened, financial entanglements, as well as relationships that started in a burst of fervor and then, just petered out. I feel those relationships are ending as well. I feel for a lot of you, there is I'm seeing like a person from your past. This is a romantic interest. And they made a lot of false promises, I feel. A lot of false promises. And I feel like there was a very, very strong emotional pull, emotional connection between you and this other person. And throughout the progression of that relationship, I feel like a lot of empty promises were made. And I feel like they weren't doing anything. I feel like you were pretty much alone in the endeavor. They didn't uphold their end of the bargain, and they made financial promises as well as like emotional investment that just didn't pan out. And I feel like you might have given them multiple opportunities to, correct these imbalances, and nothing was ever done. I feel like they were just standing still. They were very, very much stuck in their own predicament. So, it's sort of like they weren't free to act. And then as a result of it, you had no choice but to, exit the equation, mainly because you weren't getting your emotional needs met. And I do feel some communication, some attempts at, communication coming through from this person. And I do feel because it might, for many of you, deal with like financial entanglements. So it could be an ex-spouse, ex-lover, somebody that you shared assets with, children with, or even living situation that, it was, you both were tied up somehow. And then on the other hand, there are a few of you, I feel like somebody from the past. Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of stop, start energy with a person from the past. And they're coming through with a proposal. And I feel like you, in the past, you're just like, never again. But then I feel that, you weaken a little bit. And you're just like, what's the harm in giving it another chance? And you have trouble letting it go. So then you might go back to it. You might give them one last chance to prove themselves. And I feel like, that again is going to be a disappointment. So just keep your wits about you and move on with new energies, okay? I feel like that's the best option. And then I see somebody that is sincere, but I feel like they have so many things on their plate that they just can't really give you what you want or need. And I also feel for some of you, like former employers from the past coming back through. So they might have, other opportunities that are opening up for you. And the message here is, I feel it's best for you to move on. It's just, not in your best interest to regress and go back to things from the past, especially employment opportunities. And things are just going to fall below expectations, okay? So I'm getting like loaded messages mainly about starting over pretty much for this month and moving on and, freeing yourself. Okay, so that's overall the messages that they're warning you about. And now let's go into your spread. The first cluster here is the Fool as well as the Devil. These are very, very opposing energies. And the way that the Fool card comes out, it indicates usually, which direction we're headed and whether or not it's going to be beneficial or detrimental to us. So try to, keep these things in mind as you progress through the reading. The Devil indicates a potentially toxic situation where you might have been used and abused. And that can be in a work environment, and I feel for many of you, it might be, work situations. I feel that you were, kind of like the work mule. People dumped a lot of responsibilities on you. You might have been in a relationship likewise, where you upheld your end of the bargain. You did a lot of the work. And I feel as well that there were imbalances, where there were like dependencies that gradually crept into that situation where you just did your job, but people were dumping a lot of responsibilities on you. I'm getting, the Virgoan energy here, where you're like the workhorse and everyone is like taking advantage of it. They probably neglected their work thinking that you would take over and, take care of it for them. You might have been in a position where you were starting out like an entry-level position, and then people who were on, your supervisors, your manager, they might have taken that situation for granted. They might have taken you for granted, or they might have given you responsibilities and then, didn't recognize you for your efforts. And I feel like a lot of you might have been tempted to say something in the past, but there was job security at risk. So you felt very, very stuck and tied to it, and you didn't really feel a way out. And I also feel like for a lot of you, there is going to be some karmic rebalancing of that situation, okay? And whatever amount of work you did, you're going to be compensated. So it could be, backlogged like overtime, for example, and it's going to be compensated for, okay? And even, like, for example, if you have been doing the brunt of the work that belonged to other people because they weren't taking care of their responsibilities, then I do feel, you are going to get some type of recognition as well as financial compensation. So I do feel that this is the month, if this is something that has been happening for quite like a long stretch of time, and I would say since, and we're going to see you being compensated, okay? You might not get, that full recognition, but I do see some monetary compensation for promotions for a lot of you, like pay increases especially, and then promotions. And then for others, if you are stuck in a relationship where likewise you did the brunt of the work, I feel like for some of you, you might have like had a partner and then you did a lot of work to maintain that partnership. You might have children and you did, you were working part-time, I feel, and then, or you were working like possibly even part-time or full-time. And then you went home and you took care of all the domestic responsibilities as well. And I feel like that allowed the other person to, pursue their career. That allowed your partner to really flourish and to really like, grew to their professional potential. And I feel like your career kind of veered off track as a result of it, mainly because you prioritize the relationship, you prioritize the housekeeping, you prioritize, and I don't want to say you prioritize the wrong thing. You did it because you knew it was a sacrifice. And I do sense like that caused a lot of stress and strain in the relationship, and the relationship might have broken up. And I feel like you might have been separated, but the divorce and things like that have never been finalized. So there's still some temptation here to go back to a situation from the past, professionally or romantically. And I feel that it wasn't entirely healthy. I see something about, burning the candles from both ends. Like you put a lot of work in, a lot of sleepless nights trying to keep everything afloat. And I'm also feeling like you might be tempted to, give it one last try. And it's not really advising you that you do that, because I feel like you're going to be swept off your feet temporarily, and then the same issues will come in a cyclical pattern, so that 3 months down the line you might have to you're back here. figuring out what do I do next. So while you're here right now, you should just try to move forward, okay? Travel light, do so with a clean slate. I feel that it's going to be much better for you. And overall, I feel like you were not, I just don't sense it was a good situation to begin with, okay? I do see as well some situations where I feel like empty promises, okay? Like it was entrapment, essentially, is what I'm feeling with this devil card. It was a situation where they knew what to say to keep you there, to keep you stuck. They knew how to get you. They knew how to reel you in and leave you hanging. And then, you think things are going to get rid of yourself, okay? Moving on to the next cluster here, we do have the Page of Rods as well as the Ten of Wands. So the Page of Wands as well as the Ten of Wands. And the Page of Wands, in this deck, it indicates a fire sign. I feel like this is somebody linked up to your professional life, okay? So this is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. That is their sun sign, moon sign, or rising sign. And what I'm feeling is there's definitely some imbalances here. One person has 1, the other one has 10. So it's sort of like the imbalances are definitely jarring. There is somebody like this potentially in your work sector who is not pulling their weight, who is kind of like lost in this sea of responsibilities, and they're not really sure what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to go. And I also feel this is mind up. You're still trying to get all, like in the flow of the work environment, you're still trying to get in the flow of things. And I feel like there might be some situations coming in from the higher ups where they might tell you, hey, you're not doing this the right way, or you need to pick up, you need to pick up this other person's slack, or you need to take on more responsibilities. And you're just like, but I'm inundated. I can't possibly take on more. So there's definitely some conflicts here, I feel, in a current work environment as well. And where you're not able to freely, come and go as you need to, where you are kind of like being micromanaged, I feel. And you feel as if your freedom of movement is severely curbed. I do sense this work environment a lot of, I'm sensing that, it's a high impact, possibly a very, very dynamic work environment and a very hectic work environment. So there are possibly like a lot of crises that happen, or a lot of things where you have to like be very quick on your toes, and you have to solve things in a very like I guess like streamlined and in a very efficient manner. So I feel like you're trying to still get a handle of things when it comes to a new job for some of you. And you might be struggling as to how to do this more efficiently. How can I, increase productivity? And one of the best things that you can do here is talk to, supervisor higher ups and see what you can do to change enhance your workflow. And you might get some very solid advice coming through to you from supervisors, people higher ups, or even from coworkers. And if they're coming to you with these advice and they're dishing out valuable advice, really take it to heart and try to try to take it as constructive criticism rather than brushing it off. I feel that that's going to be better for you, especially if you're a new person in a new to keep afloat with all of your responsibilities and learn new skills. They're pretty much telling you that there is a better way to do this. And rather than multitasking, maybe you need to reduce and focus your energy solely on one thing. We all, risk whenever we multitask, we always risk like doing all of those things not as well as we could have if we just focus on one thing at a time. So I feel like the thing here to do is don't overexert yourself, don't overextend yourself, don't make promises that you can't keep, and don't especially just like throw so much responsibilities on yourself and beat yourself up over not accomplishing them, because I feel like it's a disservice all the way around. Okay, a lot of you are working in a fast-paced environment and you have to keep up, and I feel like you're dwelling on possibly the wrong things. And so they're telling you, handle one thing at a time. Don't cram up, and especially don't think that like, oh, I can multitask, I can wing it, I can figure things out. You're not going to be able to do it well, and it's really important that you try to know something and know it really, really well in and out, and then move on to the next thing. Now, Geminis are, the jack of all trades, master of none. So I feel like this energy is very, very pertinent for you. And this is where this is a month in which, we're shifting into a time of Scorpio. And Scorpio deals with like doing something masterfully well and knowing the ins and outs of it extremely well. So I feel that, that whole concept of jack of all trades, master of none might be to your detriment for this month. So it's telling you, don't try to multitask. Learn one thing, learn it in depth, be done with it, and then move on to the next. Okay? I hope that makes sense. And for those of you who are Geminis with Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, so you have like a Gemini Scorpio mixture. This might be playing out as an inner conflict within yourself. On the one hand, you want to get all of these things done, and you're very skilled at all of these things. And then on the other hand, you have certain things that, that people expect you to do, mainly because you're an expert at it. And you're just like, no, but I don't want to do this anymore. I want to focus on the fun stuff. So finding that work-life balance is going to be important, but I do feel that you are going to get some type of appreciation for your skills, your knowledge, and the work that you have done to give you that, emotional satisfaction where you can find inspiration with the Page of Rods as well, the Page of Wands. And it indicates, very good news coming overall. And it indicates new project base that, projects like games and things like that. And I feel like you creative projects more than anything that can pan out wonderfully well for you. It might not pan out financially at first, but I do feel it has the potential to grow in that direction. So you're looking at this, and you're looking at this additional thing that you can do on top of all the other things that you are devoting your time to. And I feel like you are just, tempted enough to like take on this extra thing. And I feel that then we end up, if you were to do that, we end up here where you're pretty much tied up, inundated, and, not able to move. So just be smart about this, okay? And, try to whittle down the pertinent things. So don't take on everything. Don't overextend yourself. Don't overschedule, don't overbook your time, because I feel like you're going to end up here where you're frazzled and you're stuck and you're just like really in a bad space mentally and emotionally as well. Okay. So the Nine of Swords is not a comfortable situation. The traditional Rider-Waite deck, it's sleepless nights. It's not being able to get restful sleep. A lot of worries, anxiety keeping you up at night. And I feel in this deck, it indicates, your hands are tied. You're stuck in a situation and you can't see a way out. And overall, it's just the same type of energy echoed in differently. And so the main thing here is don't get yourself to this state, because I feel like you're so inundated with so many things. And the last thing that you need is to be mentally drained, because as an air sign, you really need your sharp intellect and your objectivity in order to function. And when you get yourself in this space where you're worried you're not going to be able to meet deadlines, it's not a good place to be. Okay. What's coming through as well is we do have the Six of Pentacles. And the way that I am seeing here is that I feel like a lot of you are paying people in order to help you. Like you're paying people, like you're hiring helpers, you're paying helpers, or you have some money coming through, either from a institution, a loan, a grant, a scholarship, something like that. If you are a researcher, especially if you're, if you're looking for some funding that's coming through, I feel that that's going to be made available to you. So the Six of Pentacles is a financial windfall, and I feel for a lot of you, you worked really, really hard to achieve something. You might have gone back to it, adjusted it many, many times. And then finally, this financial windfall is coming through as a result of the adjustment. You're able to hire somebody in order to help lighten your load. So for a lot of you, you might hire younger people. You might hire people of different ethnicities, is what I'm sensing. You might be working in proximity with a fire sign, a Aries, Sagittarius, or Leo. That is going to help lighten your load. They're very, very creative. I feel like this is overall a creative endeavor, and you are going to be able to, get some type of a reprieve, mainly because somebody's coming through to help you. And it's, it could just be a financial arrangement purely, but either way, you're getting some help, and it's going to pan out really beautifully well, okay? And then others of you, I feel like, all your work is being noticed. So you are getting some type of funding, government grants is what I'm seeing. And I feel like, especially if you're doing any type of research, and you need, like, that seed funding in order to hire people to be research assistants, or to, help you do some type of very, very tedious, boring, monotonous type of work. That's going to be coming through. So, a huge head burden is being lifted, and you're going to start feeling light. And what I'm also sensing is this is traditionally, linked up with the Justice card here. It usually indicates like some type of a legal battle where there is going to be some financial windfall coming through, settlements, as well as, alimony, child support, and things like that. Whereas before, you were feeling as if you couldn't really do it on your own. Now you're getting some help, some justice is being dished out, especially concerning children. You are going to be able to get some alleviation to your anxieties and worries. And there's going to be, balancing out of child support, alimony, money coming through to help you either with child rearing, or to help you, with business, or things like that. So there's money coming through from an institution. It could be mandated by the court to give you some money, or it could just be a financial windfall as a result of some, grants, loans, and things like that finally coming through. That's really going to help you. The last two cards is the Justice card and the Nine of Pentacles. Now let's talk about the Nine of Pentacles first. This is a card that has been coming out for a lot of signs, okay? The Nine of Pentacles is a very, very good financial card. It usually indicates a business owner, somebody who's self-employed. You might be working in a contract basis, commission basis, or you might be just purely self-employed where your money is growing for you and you're generating money your own way. So you dictate your own hours. You can take on as few clients as you want, or as many clients as you want. So there needs to be a balance, like a middle ground, okay? And they're pretty much telling you, lighten your load, because that means you're going to be able to do your job a lot better. Whereas if you overload yourself, overburden yourself, you're not going to do it well, and it's going to show in the final product with the Justice card here. So whatever you put in is what you're going to put out, pretty much. So 10 here equals the Justice card, which is like balancing of that karmic scale. It's not going to end well. And we have 1 here with the Page of Rods, and we have a lot of financial abundance linked up with it. So whittle these choices down and stick with one thing that you can do really, really well. Encapsulate that, Scorpio energy, where you stick to one thing and do it really, really well. And that's going to serve you well for the remainder of this month, okay? So there is financial windfall coming through. And for example, if you have been in a business partnership with somebody and they have, they contributed barely anything to the business endeavor, and when the business partnership disbanded, they might have, you might have gone to court, you might have tried to extract yourself financially. And this is the month in which I feel, even if it's relationships, in love or in business, if it didn't work out, it is going to disband. And I feel like, both parties are getting their fair share. So whatever that means, if some business partners or romantic partners are not putting in their fair share, I don't feel that they're going to be able to recoup a lot from the end of that, partnership. Okay, so balance coming through and financial windfall coming through, especially for those of you who are employed. Self-employed. I feel that if you were waiting around for a big loan in order to start a business, that's also going to pan out very beautifully for you. so that you can start something and you can begin a new professional phase in your life, and to dictate and manage your own time, and to do your run your business efficiently. Okay, so there is financial windfall, a loans or something that will allow you to start a business. So I do see legal contracts being drawn up. Whatever was held up is going to clear towards the end of the month. I see the 11th and the 28th as being major big like days within this month, where some news, some information is going to start clearing up. The energy starts clearing up for you. Obstacles start clearing up so that you can begin this self-employment endeavor, so that you can, if you're waiting for on loans and things like that, that's coming through as well. Okay, so it looks very fruitful. It looks really, really good. Now, in terms of your advice, let's talk about this. We do have here a fire sign with the Queen of Rods here. This is a male or a female, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. And what I'm feeling with this person is that, the interaction between the two of you are very, very, very exciting. This can be a business partner or it can be a romantic interest. What I do sense is there is a little bit of conflict of interest here. I feel like they're a little bit more for themselves, and then whatever they're giving you is not what you would expect. So I feel like you do want more out of this, union. And so they're telling you to really look at this situation and to, see how things have transpired in the past. If this is a brand new person, then I do feel there's a new burst of energy coming through, friendships, beginning of love and things like that. And it's going to allow you to, figure out once and for all what you've been missing, so that you can go out into the world and find it. And we are also seeing a lot of endings have been implemented, and you're at this point now where you can walk away from things. You have the closure you need in order to sort out your feelings, process your feelings, mourn the end of relationships and things like that, and move on. But the last card in this spread here is essentially, it's all about moving on. It's all about like striving, going out into the world and figuring out what you've been missing, because now I feel that you have a renewed sense of self, confidence in yourself, as well as you're approaching this month with a no BS type of a manner. So I feel like you're not going to be settling for less. You're going to want more. You're going to want more emotional depth as well. Or if other people are demanding more of you and you're inundated with work and things like that, you might have to cut ties in order to move on, so that you don't keep them hanging. Okay, so good energies, Gemini. I feel like, if you are able to let go of situations and things, you're going to be a lot more fruitful, and you're going to be your energy is going to be very directed towards money-making endeavors. Okay, so finances looks especially strong. Relationships, I feel still hit or miss, but I'm going to do your relationship reading right now. So let's see. So give me a moment. I'm going to shuffle out the cards for you guys. I see a lot of you guys are getting into shape, and they're specifically saying, first of all, it is for your health, but also in order to look good, in order to appeal to somebody, in order to look good. So it's not all in vanity. I feel like there are legitimate, reasons for doing it. And I feel, I keep feeling this winded energy, and I see a lot of, the Ten of Wands. It also deals with like, weightlifting and things like that. So I do feel a lot of you are getting more exercise. I see weightlifting. I see getting into shape, and, forcing yourself to implement some new changes in your own life, like so that you look good, so that you can feel comfortable with your body, so that you can, start a new phase in your life, I feel. You've got some really good cards here, Geminis. I'm going to pull out, let's see, one more. Okay. So what's happening here right off the bat is in the past, you have a lot of water signs. In the future, you have a lot of fire signs. And you're an air sign. So I feel like a lot of you have, recently left some emotionally draining relationship partners in the past, possibly a water sign, such as Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And you're moving forward with a fire sign, and we have very strong, Leo and Aries. Also Sagittarius, but I do feel with the Emperor here is a card of Leo, with the Strength card is the card of, the Emperor is a card of Aries. The Strength card is also the card of Leo. I do also feel a very strong Taurian energy in this spread. Taurian, Capricorn. So let's go into the past position because this is very important. This is pretty much signaling, the end of an era. Change is imminent and you've had no choice but to move on, okay? So a lot of you might have been interacting with a water sign. So this is a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. This might have been a relationship partner where there were a lot of empty promises. And I feel like, they have the best intentions, but their life is just a little bit messy and they're not in a position to give you what you want and need at this present moment. And I feel like you might have held out your breath that this situation was going to change. You gave it your all and, you gave so much of yourself and you feel like just emotionally, spiritually depleted, like you don't have any more of yourself to give. I'm drawn to that flower that he's holding. Is sort of like, putting your love out there, making your intentions known to this person. But this person is kind of like, they're a little bit more self-absorbed. And the way that I say that, this is not a bad person. This is somebody that is, at their best, they're very, very emotionally nurturing, supportive. But at their worst, they're just, at their worst, it created a very emotionally draining, codependent, potentially toxic relationship where boundaries are blurred between two people and things were just kind of gloomy. It was like a doom and gloom type of a relationship where, their mood affected the relationship as a unit. And so I feel like it was a lot of doom and gloom, okay? And a lot of you have had no choice but to move forward. And I feel like you waited. You really did put a lot of yourself in it. And you really try to make things work. So it's not like you didn't try. It's not like, you got out of there when things got hard. No, I feel like you really did try. And likewise, I feel like, if the shoe were on the other foot, then this is the person that really did try with you as well. And now they're moving on. And I feel like, it might have been just a mutual parting of the ways because you realize that you're not right from each other, for each other. Okay, so a lot of you are implementing, some new things in your life. Some old relationships have ended. In the recent past, you have moved on and you're now in a very, very emotionally stable state where you are starting to draw back your energy and you're starting to realize that you can't really dump all of your love and affection and expect things to work out. The other person needs to also be on board, okay? So I feel like healthy boundaries are coming through as well as, implementation of endings coming through, which brings us to the present moment. And the present moment, we do have the Star card as well as the Ace of Coins. So the Star card indicates a lot of healing, a lot of spiritual, emotional replenishment. And usually, after an end of a relationship, no matter who ended the actual relationship, there's always that sense of self-doubt, doubting that, oh, are we lovable? Are we, able to maintain a relationship? Or was it us? Like, why did the other person decide to walk away? Or, what is it that caused the breakdown of that relationship? So there's always that process of, going through the motions, doubting, like if things could have been better, if things could have been fixed. So we have all of these what ifs running through our heads. And I feel like a lot of you were stuck in that energy. Even like, for the past few months, I feel like for the past 3 months, or realize that you did put a lot of work in. It was just creative differences between you and the other person, or irreconcilable differences where you couldn't you might have cared about one another deeply, but it just wouldn't work out as a romantic partner, mainly because one or the other was not stable enough and was not such a great team player, and did not see the long-term prospect of the relationship. And the star comes in as a wish card, and I definitely feel there is a sense of replenishment. Faith is being restored in your love life as a result of this. We do have here the Ace of Coins. This is the Ace of Pentacles, which indicates, in a regular reading, I would say a new job. In a love reading, I would say this is somebody who is coming through to promise you emotional stability, okay? Because the Pentacle suit deals with somebody who's a little bit more practical, more grounded, and they take care of you on a very material level. So, in the past, if you've gotten like a lot of flowers, perfume, and things that were very nice, decadent, but frivolous, I feel like this next person that comes in, they might not be the most romantic person, but they take care of your emotional needs. If you're sick, they bring you soup. If your car is having trouble and you're stressed out, they get your car fixed for you. And these are like things that you can count on. So I definitely feel you are interacting with somebody new in your life that is very practical, very materially oriented, and they know how to navigate the waters, in everyday life. And they're just great at routine. They're great at what they do. And one of the things I'm sensing here, Geminis, is I'm getting this, so I'm just going to say it. I feel like a lot of you have a tendency to lose yourself in relationships. So that means, blur boundaries, kind of like that Piscean energy, because both you and Pisces are dual signs, meaning that you feel strength in numbers. You feel like you might tend to take on the responsibilities or the personality of the person that you date, and you lose your sense of self. And I feel like all that healing that you did recently allow you to start to see yourself again, as your true self. And I do feel that this next person that's coming through, they help you navigate, the practical everyday operations of self-maintenance, of how to stay afloat, of, how to think long term. So this is a nice change of, like, is a breath of fresh air, I feel, for you in the romantic front. And what I'm sensing here is that crowning this reading is the Sun. This person makes you feel very, very valued, appreciated, and just content and happy. They make you feel warm and fuzzy, and they make you feel safe, okay? I feel like you might be dealing with somebody that is either significantly older or significantly younger. I don't feel they're in your same age group, because I feel like there's almost this sense of childlike abandonment, and that's either coming through from your end, where you feel taken care of by an older person. Not in a bad way, but I feel like in a more, indulgent way. That's still really good. And or you might be doing this to a younger person. You might be the older person doing this to a younger person, and you make them feel really good. And I feel like it's a mutually beneficial union. The only dangers I feel is, be careful of losing yourself in relationships, okay? Seek the ones that are a little bit more balanced, but I do feel there are innate balanced energies in this spread. And especially with this card, the Sun is a very, very positive card. It indicates like melting away your worries, your anxieties, and whatever, trust issues that you have. So I feel that a lot of you have somebody right now that you're thinking about heavily. It could be an earth sign or a fire sign. And the earth sign is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This can be their sun, moon, or rising. Okay. And then we have the sun, which is the fire energy, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. And what's coming through as well with this person here is, for some reason, I feel like they're just very financially independent and financially abundant. Not that money matters, but when somebody knows how to take care of themselves, when their everyday operations are going well, it usually means they have a firm grip on reality, and that is a good indicator of a person who is ready for relationships. So I feel like for those of you who haven't met anybody yet, at least I feel like you have started a new job. You're starting to reap financial abundance. You're starting to be in this space where you're not mired in, financial dire strait anymore. Your work life is going really well. You are very, very financially stable, independent, and you're looking for love. And I feel like that is what allows you to be in the best position to attract new love, okay? But I feel a lot of you are heavily thinking about an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo. The earth sign, very, very, I feel handsome, charismatic, but not over the top cheesy, great sense of humor. The fire sign is exciting, warm, very affectionate. So you're dealing with people who have been around the block, which means that, they see value in you. And I feel like they're willing to invest the time to cultivate this relationship with you. So I don't feel that you're going to be left out in the cold, or I don't feel it's going to be one-sided, okay? So it looks very, very good. Now, the foundation is the situation on which, this entire love thing is built. We do have the moon, and the moon indicates deception, blurred energies, blur boundaries, and just overall an emotionally draining relationship, or a very, very emotionally codependent, toxic relationship. So it can, at its best, it can be like, having a very strong soul connection with someone, where telepathically you get to pick up their moods, their thoughts, and you have a very strong connection with them. At its worst, there is definitely breaches in boundaries. It's hard to extract yourself from this person. So I feel like we do have some energies here where you gave a lot of yourself, and you might have been involved heavily with a water sign. So, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. And I feel like it was a kind of a I don't feel they're bad people at all, okay? I don't get that. Not with the King of Cups and now the Queen of Cups. I feel like a lot of you felt that you had a soulmate connection in the past, and you're still trying to shake the memory of this person. So even though you have somebody that you are eyeing, even though you have started dating again and you're feeling quite good about yourself, quite positive, I feel, honestly, a lot of you are kind of like looking for that emotional roller coaster, and you're not done with that phase of your life yet. So you have some stable people coming through that are going to provide a lot of, stability in your love life. But I feel you're craving that, that emotional, really intense doom and gloom emotional roller coaster. So you might not be ready yet to move on. And you want to be careful about this, because I feel like, these people, they're not really fooling around. So if you show any sign that you're not interested, I feel like they have other suitors that are going to be on the table for them. So in the process of, trying to sift through feelings with an ex, you might potentially miss out on good opportunities. So the point here is that whatever's in the past, just let it go. Don't compare whoever you're dating now with the person from the past. And I feel like the person from the past might have been very, very romantic, like just very sensual, very romantic, and the physical, emotional chemistry was really, really strong. However, you might have difficulties as a unit, forming a solid relationship. And now you're comparing this past union with the new people who are a little bit more practical, who are, just I feel almost like safe options for you. And so you're already looking at greener pastures. Just be careful about that, okay? So what's coming through for you here? We do have the Emperor. And the Emperor indicates, a person that is very, very clear about what they want. And one of the main things I feel coming through here is that, the past is done. You need to move forward, and you need to be very clear about which direction you're headed when it comes to your love life. You have some people that are quite impatient. I mean, they're patient when they commit to you, But I feel like if you're not committing to them, or if you're like giving them mixed messages, or if you're not 100% sure, they're not going to give you that 100% investment. So I feel like there is a mirroring effect here where you need to make up your mind what you want to do. There might also be interference coming through from the workplace. So a lot of you might be attracted to somebody in the workplace, and as a result of it, there might be some difficulties in getting the relationship off the ground. There might be heavy flirtation with an authority figure in a work environment, and that can be male or female. It doesn't have to always be male, but I do sense work interference as a result of it, okay? What's also linked up here is the Nine of Swords. I'm sorry, the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands is a battle-scarred person. They've been through a lot in their lives, and they're trying to, they still believe in love, they still believe in sacrifice and all of these things. But they're so wise, and I feel like spiritually old, that they're not going to sit around and play games. So I feel like you're dealing with people that have been around the block. They know what they're looking for. And so if you show any signs that you're not really sure what you want, I don't feel they're going to be sticking around, okay? And we also have as well the Strength card, which indicates intense flirtation, heavy energy for like physical attraction, emotional attraction, but working together as a unit. The beast and the lady seeing eye to eye might be a little bit tenuous to start with, but it can work with great communication. So I feel like for those of you who are trying to move forward with a fire sign, it looks very stable, okay? So Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. For those of you who are kind of like have been with a water sign, are thinking about an earth sign, you have a fire sign coming through as well. So you're thinking about an earth sign, you're trying to get things off the ground with an earth sign. It is going to be a very slow process, but I feel that you need to make up your mind. You might be caught between an earth sign and a fire sign. You're trying to decide like which one you want to go with. And I feel like that earth sign is going to require a lot of your emotional investment and a lot of sunk cost. And I feel that you're impatient. You might just go with the fire sign. Either way, I don't feel that you can go wrong, but I do feel this earth energy is very much ready here. So I would say don't bite off more than you can chew. I do see heavy flirtation here with an earth sign, and I feel that they're very serious about you. So if you're not serious about them, let them go and find somebody else. And the fire sign is a much better energy, because I feel like you're an air sign. Fire and air is a better mixture overall. But either way, both of these relationship partners seem very stable, and they can get you out of this rut here with that emotionally draining relationship that you've dealt with in the past, okay? And even for those of you who are together with a water sign, I definitely feel like the relationship is on its last leg. And there's going to need to be some drastic changes or improvements necessary to move that relationship along, okay, to sustain it and maintain it. And it's going to be a concerted effort from both parties. For those of you who are in established relationships, I definitely feel like as a unit, you are combining assets, resources, financial, resources, and you're linking up with one another. And as a result of it, there's more money available as a couple in order to do more leisure activities, in order to travel, in order to have more date nights, which is really going to re-inject passion in the relationship. I feel new jobs coming through from your end or from your partner's end. That is going to allow you both to think about, purchasing property, as well as having children, like family planning and all of these things. So overall, it is a really good month financially for all of you. And especially for those in relationships, you're going to be able to, share the abundance and the wealth with your partner. And it's really going to help move the relationship along in a positive manner, okay? So I do wish you all the best, Geminis. Take care of yourself. And if you'd like to book a private reading, please visit my website. The information is in the description box below where you can view. Take care. Bye-bye.